Take an example, lo que está pasando en Chiapas, what's happening in Chiapas. That doesn't relate to me. Eso es de los indios. You know, the problem with Chiapas will never get resolved, and we never acknowledge that we are those people. We are part of these people. I mean, the Jewish person in New York is not going to separate himself from a Jewish person in Israel, where they look more Mediterranean, and a Jewish person in New York looks more Anglo. You think he's going to say, oh, he's not part of me? You know, he says, we're Jewish, and that's all. You know, y ahí se acabó, and I mean, you see different colors and different shades in the Jewish people, and they're not making a big deal. Why should we? And then you have the more aggressive of our people talking about, well, you want to go back to the times where there was, you know, people just covering their using loincloth and making human sacrifices, you know. And then, well, first, this is what I wrote here. First of all, there weren't loincloths; they were called mastlas, and they were well and beautifully decorated. And second of all, you know, it's hard to talk about sacrifices, human sacrifice, because, you know, we got to talk about this because it's always thrown in our face. How many seen Apocalypto? Okay. I forbidden my son to not see it. I go, I don't want you watching this movie, Apocalypto. So he didn't listen to me. He said, he watched it. Dad, I watched it. You know, and the fear that we had watching something like that is exactly what he expressed. I don't mean to embarrass him, but this is what he said. He said, Dad, I think there was a good reason the Spaniards got here. Because if otherwise, you know, we would have probably been executing those things, you know, this human sacrifice. And exactly what he said, how many people are expressing that idea? How many of our people are actually expressing the same thing? A lot. The majority. I mean, you see a movie like that, you get convinced. You say, wow, qué salvajes éramos. Even if you think that way, you know, que éramos, you know. But most likely, I bet some good money, que salvaje eran los indios. Even when our people are maybe full-blooded. But see, if you don't know any history, you swallow that idea of this whole human sacrifice and the way our people were. Well, you gotta consider this and see it in a different light. So, anyways, this is what we gotta sometimes talk about, because it's gotta be presented and it's gotta be pointed out. And so I wanted to talk about what is the Mexica Movement. ¿Qué es el movimiento Mexica? Well, one, we are an organization that it's non-profit, and we fight for the rights of our people, meaning our people of Nica and Tlaca descent. Yeah, and we also fight for preserving the culture, our identity. We're fighting to reconstruct who we were as a people. We're fighting to eventually in the future not speak Spanish or English, but speak Nahuatl. And just the same way the Jewish people at one time, they said, you know what? We got to reconstruct Hebrew. And they went back and reconstructed a dead language, a language that was no longer in use. And now they use it. Why can't we do that? Because, you know, if some of us that do speak the Spanish language, there are a lot of words that we use still in Nahuatl. We still use them. I mean, you know, you heard of the mitote, you know, the cuate, tocayo, no te agüites, you know, cholo, pocho. All these words are not in Spanish. They didn't come from Spain. They're actually Nahuatl. I have brought some nopales for later if you guys want some. They're Nahuatl. You know, we have a guajolote. We have all these words that we're using on a daily basis, and we don't even know they're in Nahuatl. And ideas. For example, you know, the whole idea of no te agüites, you know, like it comes from a thorn being in your side, you know, like because the thorns is like te está calando, you know, it's bugging you. That's where the word agüites comes from. And so, anyways, why was it formed? Why was the Mexica Movement formed? Well, we were formed for the reasons that I've been talking about earlier, because we don't know who we are as a people. Because we saw this thing about the gangs. We saw this thing about the ignorance of our people. And there was really no one confronting these issues. And so anyways, obviously not me, but Olin has been around for, fighting and struggling and defending our people for how many years? For some time. And so anyways, he developed this idea, this concept of saying, you know what? There's no way politically or even religiously. You might want to go to church and pray for all these things around to eventually die off or que se acaben, but they're never going to happen. You might hold your breath until you die, and this is never going to end. You got to take action, and basically that's why we were formed, is because there's politicians, there's no one really talking about these issues. Antonio Villaraigosa is not talking about this. He's a politician. Any other politician that you think of that's talking about this, they're saying, you know what, the real nitty, the real McCoy, the stuff that's going to get us out of the condition that we're in is going to be this. I mean, they always talk about it in a political sense. Oh, more jobs, or more YMCAs, or I mean, that's fine, but is that going to take us out of the condition? Is that going to take us out of the psychological trauma that we already face? I mean, are they going to talk about why is it that we're always talking about hijos de la chingada? Why is it that we're always like I said earlier, glorifying this whole blondness and this why is our people dyeing their hair blonde, and why are people putting fake contact on their eyes, and all these issues? They're not talking about it. I mean, I don't see that when their ballot, like when they're vote for me, we're talking about these issues. You never see that. But when was it formed? It was formed unofficially in 1987. Officially, it was formed in 1993. So what has the movement done to combat these issues, these problems? Well, for one, we've been educating like we're educating right now. We're presenting a very different way of approach, We're attacking, these whole terms of Latino and Hispano. Have you seen these shirts here? They weren't created by anybody in the city hall. It was actually created by the movement. And these shirts, if you see them, sometimes they're fake and they're out there, but it's okay. The message is going out, But that was the creation of defending and attacking this whole Latino and Hispano, because that doesn't belong to us. And so we talk about the genocide that occurred here on this land. 95% of our population was wiped out purposely to make room for the Europeans, to basically destroy us as a people. And how many people know about that? How many people know about the Jewish Holocaust? Todos, everybody, right? But we don't know about our Holocaust. And is the Mexica Movement divisive? Yes, we are. We're dividing ourselves from the Europeans. We're dividing ourselves from a colonialist mentality. We're dividing ourselves from oppression. We're because we've been divided. We've been divided from our history. We've been divided from our identity. We're trying to stop that.